Hey, good afternoon. This is Nikki Burnett. I'm a functional nutritionist and my practice is Taste Life Nutrition. I wanted to talk about dogs, which I kind of always want to talk about dogs, but I wanted to, I guess I keep seeing these stories and these posts, of course, mostly on Facebook, but I see these things where there are these products that we think that are really great and they are new and they're fun and gives the dogs all of these things, and they end up being really dangerous and deadly. And so I thought that we would talk about that a little bit because it breaks my heart. And, it's not really, well, it's not that it's anybody's fault, just like so many things, it's a lack of education. And so I want to get out there, and I think a lot of people are doing this now, so I'm not the only one, thankfully, but just get out there the things that really are the most dangerous to dogs. And I tend to link the articles and the posts and things that I see, and I think I'm going to link some of them. There are a couple that are just a little bit too much. You can find them; they're all on Facebook, and maybe I'll link them. I don't know. We all, want to know the, terrible things that can happen, I guess, but they can just be a little bit sad and graphic. So I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, so let's start talking about some things that are dangerous. And I think the very first one, because I have a little bit of a personal experience with it, nothing ever negative, thankfully, but these retractable leashes. When I lived in Dallas, there was a trail that I would walk every day. It was the Katy Trail, and it was awesome. And people would bike up and down it, just like here in Colorado, but it was wide and it was all cement because that's what we had in Dallas, Texas. But so people would bike it and they'd rollerblade and do all kinds of stuff. And so we would run and walk and we would take the dogs. Well, my mom had a little a poodle mix, and she had a retractable leash. And there's just a lack of understanding what to do on paths when you don't do this regularly. So she would let her little poodle Sammy run back and forth all over this trail, and she was used to that. She's from a small town. She'd come up to Dallas. She's not used to these things. So I had to keep telling her, you cannot let your dog run just willy-nilly on these retractable leashes, because somebody's going to get hung up and it's going to kill the person and it's going to kill the dog. And so having these dogs on these retractable leashes, especially if you're just unaware of what's happening, is really dangerous, because the dog doesn't understand that it can't go anywhere, right? Doesn't understand that there's a line that it's attached to, because it's just kind of going all over the place and you let them. And some dogs, that's okay. But the story, so nothing bad ever came of it. I just had to keep repeating to my mother, please don't let the dog, go from side to side, because it's going to get us in a bunch of trouble. But there's a story that came out recently, not anybody that I know. I saw it on Facebook through one of the rescue sites, about a dog on a retractable leash, saw something, bolted out into it's awful, but it bolted out into the street, got hit, tied up with the retractable leash in the car. You can imagine from there what happens. These things are so, so dangerous, right? It's better to have your dog off leash, which is a sin here in Colorado to have dogs off leash, but than to have it on these retractable leashes. So think about training your dog on a regular leash. If you want to have them on a longer leash, put them on a regular leash that's a long leash that you have control of, where you have the dog close to you, or you can have it far off if you're hiking or doing whatever it is that you're doing. But please, please be aware of where your dog is, where you are, and the people around you, whether it's cars or bikes or inline blades or skateboarders, whatever it is. Just be aware, because I know my dogs, they're pretty well behaved for the most part, but they have a serious prey drive. A retractable leash is not going to stop them. I'm probably going to pull my arm out at the same time. So anyway, think about that. Do some research on it if you like. Just know that these retractable leashes are super dangerous. Okay, on from that. Another one is collars. Collars are great. And we need them. And, you know, I just got new collars for mine. I got them from Etsy. They're super cute. You know, a little place up in Boulder. Anyway, I was very sure, very careful about the types of collars that I get to make sure that it was not a buckle collar, but one that snapped in. So what can happen is another story that I read recently, or a post that I saw, and I do have some experience with this one, but two dogs had been in the same family forever and ever while they were playing. Ended up the playing didn't go bad, but the collar got stuck in the mouth. So the panic sets in, the dogs freak out, the collars get tighter and tighter and tighter. And they twist and all kinds of stuff. There's no way of getting them loose. I mean, she was by herself. Again, I don't know this person, but she was by herself. She couldn't go get, you know, scissors, and if it's a leather collar, it's probably going to be pretty difficult to get scissors in when it's all twisted in. I mean, I don't know. I feel like both dogs made it, but it could be that one did not. I don't remember. I probably should have looked it up before going live. But either way, you know, the point is made that to have the collars that buckle are really dangerous. And so you want to have the one that snaps, so you can push the two little clips together so it comes apart. My own personal experience with this, which is thankfully not very tragic, but is really scary and taught me a lesson. Bandanas. And I haven't seen anything like this, but I'm going to tell you, the same thing happened to me with my two dogs who got along. One has just passed, but got along really well. But they got to playing pretty hard, and when the mouth got stuck in the collar, they start to freak out, and the collar gets tighter and tighter. So thankfully I wasn't alone. My husband was here. He's freaking out. I go get the scissors. Well, they're able to get them loose. But since that time, as much as I love bandanas and I think they're super cute, from now on, if I'm going to do a bandana, it's not going to be one of my bandanas. It's going to be probably one that clasps, because you don't want to see that happen again. So those were the two main points that I wanted to make, because they are potentially deadly and really, really deadly. But then I decided when I went, before I came on live, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. But I decided I wanted to look and see what other things are out there that maybe are potentially deadly. And there's one that came up that is interesting to me, that probably we don't think about. It's the clothes that we use for our dogs. And I'm a little bit guilty. I have coats. We're in Colorado. I love, you know, a cool, you know, coat or a hoodie or something for my dogs because it's fun and they get cold. All of them have come from Texas. So they don't have a lot of undercoat. Oh, I have one that does now, but they, you know, but they get cold. And so having a coat when it's, you know, below freezing and 2 feet of snow is probably a smart thing to do. But something that was interesting is, if you're not careful, these things, if you have a fire, if you're camping, if you're whatever, these things can catch on fire and they're not coming off. Now, it's the same with us, but we have more of a clue what to do if our clothes catch on fire. Do they have fire retardants on them? Maybe, but that's a whole problem in and of itself, is having fire retardants on clothes. I know they do that with kids. For kids, there are fire retardants on their cribs and their clothes and bedding and all of this stuff. I mean, seriously. So the small chance that our bed or our clothes of our children catches on fire, but the daily toxic intake of the fire retardant that's on there, you know, which one is better? I don't know. I think I'm more prone to go for the potential of a bed catching on fire than having daily toxic intake, because I think that chance is pretty low. And if the bed catches on fire, it's probably because the whole house is on fire. Not much you can do. Not that these are good things, but let's think about this a little bit. You know, they're putting fire retardants on all of our on our own beds and clothes. And I know I'm getting off topic a bit, as usual. I usually do. But they did this back when everybody was smoking. There aren't that many people that smoke anymore. I mean, there are, but there's a little bit more of an awareness of falling asleep with a cigarette or a cigar or something in your hand than maybe there used to be. And I'm going to tell you, my preference is to not have fire retardants, because nobody smokes in my home. And so I look out for that. And so think about that when you are buying your bed or buying your couches or your rugs, that kind of thing. It's nasty, dangerous stuff. It is. And so think about the clothes that you put on your dogs. You know, what is on them. Most of them are made in China, probably. Another story in and of itself. So many things that come out of China are deadly and kill our dogs. Food, the food that comes out of China, food that comes out of China for people. I mean, if it comes from China and it's going in my dog's belly or my belly, it's not coming into my house. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, so anything else? There are toys. Let's see. Here's my own opinion on toys. For one, I don't get toys that come out of China, for sure. I will check the labels to make sure they don't come out of China. But here's another thing that I think. Anytime there's a coloring on it, how toxic is that coloring? I don't know. My bet is it's probably pretty flipping toxic unless you know where it's coming from, and maybe it's colored with beets or turmeric or something like that. I don't know if things are. But you can get natural toys. You can get natural ropes that are just cotton. And the dogs, I've got this massive rope that my dogs love. And it's just a natural cotton rope. So I'm always really, really careful about the toys that my dogs get, because they love chewing, and they chew hard, and it's every day, all day long. What are they being exposed to? So think about the toys. Think about the small toys. Think about the small balls. If they're too small, they can get stuck in their throats. If they have pieces and parts that come apart, they can get stuck in their throats. Let's see, anything that breaks down, any plastics that they can swallow, all of that stuff is just dangerous and nasty, and can create obstructions. And then if not death, thankfully, then just surgery, which is going to cost you, $5,000. So let's just be aware of the toys that we're giving. I looked up at this article that I'm looking at. One of the things that they say is dangerous to dogs is bones. Now, I think there's a pretty massive caveat to that, because I think bones, raw bones and raw big bones that don't splinter, rib bones will splinter, but like big cow femur bones and things like that, those things are great for dogs. It gives them some calcium. It's great on their teeth. It keeps their teeth clean. Don't let the dog foods company fool you in telling you that hard food cleans their teeth. It's crap. It does not clean their teeth. It does more damage than it does good. It will create more buildup more often. Don't let the marketing companies fool you, and big dog food and big food for that matter. It's a joke. It's a joke. So give them a big femur bone. Be careful if it has marrow in it. If your dog isn't used to it, then the marrow is super rich. And it can, give them diarrhea and junk like that. But, and always watch them with their bones. Don't just leave them down all the time. But know your dog, know what your dogs can handle, but bones are great. Now, let me make sure I say this. I almost forgot. Cooked bones are not. Raw bones are fine. Cooked bones are dangerous. They will splinter, and if they're swallowed, they will go through the gut. Okay, so be aware of your dogs. If they do happen to get hold of a bone and it starts to break on them, sometimes it's fine. I mean, I've given my dogs chicken bones. They're hollow. They chew them up, and that's perfect. Their digestive system is built for that, but we have to be really, really careful. So to be on the safe side, give them bones that are big femur bones, and be aware of their surroundings. Be there when they're eating on them. What I do now with my guys is I actually grind their bones. Sometimes I'll give them big bones, but I'll also grind their bones. So it's in their meat and they're getting bone. Bone is very, very important for their mineral intake, for their calcium, for their bones, for every piece of who they are, just like with us. Bones are very important, but don't supplement with calcium. Do not supplement with calcium. Give them bone. Bone is a full food. It's a complete food. It's got all the minerals in it that the dog needs. And I actually will supplement with some trace minerals as well. But calcium supplementation is not okay for humans, for the most part. It's not okay for dogs. All right. Moving on. Is there anything else? plastic. They talk about choke collars and electric shock collars. We don't have to get into that, but anyway, we'll probably stop at that. I hope this was informative. I hope that you'll share. I hope that you'll think about what you are doing for your dogs, what your friends and families are doing with and for their dogs. Share this with people that love their dogs and just maybe don't think about it, because I think it's so important. There are way too many deaths because of some of these things, and way too many people that just don't care about the dogs the way that they should. So they don't, oh, this is not coming off right. My thought was, I'm just gonna explain because it sounds terrible. My thought was, I'm thinking of this Hurricane Florence and people that are leaving their dogs, and they're just people that don't care about their dogs. But there are people that do care about their dogs that just don't know some of these things are dangerous. There it is. So love on your dogs, give them big hugs, your cats too, your horses, whatever you have. They give us so much love and just help us get through this world, that's sometimes crazy. And if you have questions, let me know. I have something new on my website, tastelifenutrition.com, that you can go to for human nutrition. I do dog nutrition. I mostly help dog parents convert from kibble, dangerous food, to real food. Not people food, it's just real food. But for human nutrition, I have now a link that you can click on. It's a free functional nutrition analysis. And so you can click on that and you can fill it out, and we can talk about what I find inside of that analysis. It's free. It's super in depth. Well, it's not super in depth. It's pretty in depth for what it is. Okay. It's through the software that's from the Institute of Functional Medicine. So it's an amazing piece of software. So if you have questions, go below, go to my website, tastelifenutrition.com, fill out the free functional nutrition assessment, and share this, please. Let me know if you have questions. I hope to see you next time. Bye.